CPU cooling, air versus liquid. That's what we're here to talk about today. I'm with Nick from Gear Seekers.
Good to be here.
Yeah, and listen, I am constantly surprised by how many people prefer air cooling over liquid cooling. And it sounds like you're one of them.
I'm an air cooling guy too. I do like liquid cooling, but I think it has its place. I definitely think air cooling is better in the way that there's less maintenance when you're having to do anything in your PC. Come on guys, agree with me. All you need to do is clean out some dust, right? But liquid cooling can get quite tricky.
Yeah, well, that's not it though. I think we should go down the list of both.
Okay.
Kind of talk about the use cases, because I think it really depends, and maybe will help me understand why people love air cooling just so much. So,
sure.
I got some notes here.
Right.
I didn't prep you, but maybe you got some of your own stuff. So
I don't like to be prepped. So.
Okay, good. We're just rolling with it. So I would say the first win for air cooling is price.
Right. It is much cheaper.
Because usually you can get, Cooler Master has some options here like $20, and should perform pretty damn well.
That new V4 is looking like it's going to be $30 as well.
So, that's hard to beat. You can't really get an AIO that's going to perform in that level for that price.
I mean, you could probably find a $30 AIO, but it's going to be no good.
That's why I said, perform at that price.
Right.
Yeah, right. So I feel like that's a win on the air cooling side.
Definitely.
But sometimes you do want more performance and to throw a little bit of money.
Sure.
And so I feel like you can get more performance for your dollar out of liquid cooling. You just need to step up and pay for it. What do you think?
I don't think I agree with that.
Okay.
Typically, all of the systems that I use for production are all Threadripper and HEDT stuff. Even those 32-core and 64-core systems are air-cooled, if you have the right air cooler. But as you mentioned, the price is what sets those air coolers apart.
Yeah, okay, so but at the top end, you really think you couldn't get more performance out of putting liquid cooler on HEDT or a Core i9 or a Ryzen 9?
I think it's tough to say, because at that level, I think it also comes down to preference. It depends on the use case as well. Think about this, for instance, right? So you see these Threadripper Pro workstations that a lot of the SIs are selling, and even, like, let's say for Lenovo, a lot of their systems are air-cooled with these high core count CPUs. Why? Because it can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done.
Can be done.
But
okay.
are you leaving performance on the table?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you, right?
I don't think you're leaving that much performance on the table, to be honest.
You should try it.
Well, I do have one system that I test with that's a 64-core Threadripper that is liquid-cooled with a 360mm AIO, but it's not specifically designed for that. It's designed for like AM4 or AM5 with an adapter bracket, and I don't think that the cooling performance of that system is particularly great. I think it would be better with an air cooler, but it is something that I do test quite often.
Okay, well here.
Because I'm never sold on a certain thing unless it works for me.
Yeah. Well, here's something else I think you could probably agree with me that would notch a win in liquid cooling, and that is noise, fan noise. The fact that the liquid can actually absorb a lot of those peak transients, so you don't have to spin up those fans as fast and as loud, depending on your system and your use case. Yes, but usually tower coolers, they're going to absorb all that heat too much and spin up those fans quicker, right?
On the flip side, it depends on the design of your liquid cooling setup. Some people like to use push-pull setups, which I think is a bit silly. That adds more fan noise.
True.
So you're kind of offsetting like the difference in noise. Also, you can get liquid coolers with really loud pumps that can be very annoying.
That is true. Well, but that's a default or a defect, not a feature usually.
Actually, a lot of liquid coolers are naturally loud.
Yeah.
And they're not defective.
Okay.
Especially if the tubes are going down, right?
But if you have more fans, then potentially you should be able to run them at a lower RPM.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So, okay.
The differences that I find aren't that huge, and it also depends on the use case. Some people don't care if their air-cooled system's particularly loud. Like me, for instance, if my air-cooled system is loud, I'm typically using headphones most of the time anyway. So like it basically depends on where you implement that type of use case.
Okay, I get it. All right. Well, another win for air cooling, I would say, is probably installation, right? Because I would say while some of the bracket systems can get a little complicated, you're still essentially just finding a way to attach that cooler to the CPU. For liquid, not only do you have to attach the pump to the CPU, you're also attaching the radiator and the fans and all the cabling for all the fans.
I'm not sure I agree.
You don't agree on that one? You would
there's a good reason for it.
I think you're just trying to be counter.
There's a really good reason
Okay.
for it. Like I build heaps and heaps and heaps of PCs. Liquid cooling is more time consuming, but not necessarily easier. Right? So ease and time aren't the same metric.
Okay.
Right? So air coolers, sure, they're very easy to install, but then what about putting the motherboard in your case? It can potentially be harder because you can't get access to certain things, whereas liquid coolers were kind
True.
of like invented to make it easier but take more time, if that makes sense, because you can mount the radiator in multiple locations. You can then get access to your screws and stuff easier. Plugging in stuff is not necessarily a bad thing if it takes longer, because when you plug it in, you can see where you're plugging it in.
Well, and luckily a lot of companies have come out with framed fan design, so you're
Exactly
not having
right.
to screw in for
Exactly.
a 360mm AIO. You're not having to screw in all three of them, and then you've got 2 wires running from each fan. So that can be a pain in the head. So.
Of course, but time-wise, definitely will take longer with a liquid cooler, but ease of installation, I think they're about the same.
Really? Okay, I'm curious to see what people think in the comments on that one. Okay, well, what about the big thing people talk about, and it is always reliability. People are just so worried that liquid is just gonna, all of a sudden just splash all over your system and it's gonna ruin all your parts. Have you ever had an AIO that has failed and gotten liquid all over the system? That wasn't custom. I'm talking about,
Not
AIOs.
a single time in using liquid coolers since they came out.
Me
Not
neither.
one time. I've never seen it happen. I've heard of it happening, but I've never physically seen it with my own
So
eyes.
would you say people are overly cautious? People are worried that it's going to happen, but it's the chances of it happening are very slim?
I think what it is when people in their minds combine the thought of electricity and water, but it's not water.
But it says water cooling right on the box.
Right, but it's non-conductive coolant. So even if something does go wrong, most of the time your components are going to be fine anyway. But I've never seen it. I've honestly never seen one fail in the way of it exploding. I've seen pumps and stuff die like that, and the cooling just not working, but never have I seen it explode or leak.
Why do you think so many people use that as a way to say, oh, I love air cooling? The liquid cooling is just going to...
Misinformation
You think
most
so?
of the time. And paranoia. Like I said, people think of the combination of water and electronics, and then the next thing is what can go wrong will go wrong. So they think that they might be that edge case of that happening to them, whereas it's likely that it's not going to happen. They've had these closed liquid coolers for 15 years plus already, so I think it's quite rare. Even then, I'd never seen that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, even if it's not going to get liquid all over your system, there are usually more points of failure for liquid cooling versus air cooling, right? You got the pump, you got the fans, you got the radiator, you got potentially the liquid.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've seen pumps fail, but never leaking. I think it's quite unusual.
Well, but that's a notch for air cooling, right? It's way more simple.
Yeah. But let us know in the comments if you've had a liquid cooler leak, because I'd be interested to know what the ratio would be. It'd be very low.
Also, which size?
Yeah.
Who
made it?
Who made it?
Yeah.
Hopefully not a Cooler Master one, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Hey, they were one of the first to do these kind of coolers, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think one of the last ones I have notes on is DRAM clearance. I know a lot of air coolers now have factored that in to allow for higher sticks of DRAM, but typically it doesn't compete with liquid cooling. Usually you can get to your DRAM way easier liquid cooling.
Right. I think that's a non.
Yeah.
It's just
okay. You agree. We're finally in
liquid
agreement.
cooling wins for sure. But also with saying that, I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of the DDR5 modules are smaller.
True.
I have noticed, some of those DDR4 modules when the RGB memory started to come out were massive, just for the point of being massive and flashy. But I've noticed, they've been getting a lot smaller.
Well, and to be fair, there are some tower coolers that have tried to offset
had
the pipes
the notch in the fin
or the
stack.
notch.
Yeah,
So
right.
It has gotten better. It has
Definitely.
gotten better for sure. But
Definitely.
I mean, not having anything in the way.
Yeah.
I would say actually what I run into more is issues with trying to reach the GPU release
Right,
mechanism,
yeah.
or maybe the SSD if I need to like swap out an SSD. Like then the tower cooler is just really in the way.
Here's something interesting. I noticed that on a few of the new Gigabyte B850 boards, typically with ATX boards, they have the top PCIe slot in the second position.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this? I started to move them into the first position again, and I ran into an issue where I was pulling apart a system the other day that it was air-cooled, and it was almost impossible to get to the GPU release.
So there's a win for liquid
Yeah.
cooling. Yeah. Can you think of anything else that we didn't cover that would give a win one way or the other?
Air cooling is definitely easier to clean,
Oh.
cleaning out dust. Because radiators, typically the
Yeah.
dust will get stuck between the fans and the fin stack of the radiator, so you'd have to remove the fans.
fans
then,
themselves,
but then it
yeah.
becomes a time thing, not really a difficulty thing.
I thought you said, time is different than difficulty. Yeah,
Time and space, who knows how it
yeah.
really works? Magnets, we don't know how they work
No,
either.
I definitely don't. Not at all. So, okay, cleaning. I mean, you can still have a dirty air cooler. I've seen some pretty gunked up ones.
I mean, mine are probably pretty
bad,
dirty. Mine are
yeah.
rack mounted. I don't know what it looks like in there. It's like that. It's like a black box flight recorder. We don't know what's inside it,
Yeah.
but it still does the thing, right?
Maybe millions of years later,
Yeah.
somebody will find your body.
Someone
and,
uncovers it, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
And be like-
this guy had the dirtiest computer that I've ever seen."
and look, we can carbon date the sediment in between the fin stacks.
This is why I should have liquid cooled his PC.
Yeah. Oh, idiot. All right. Well, I don't know. I this is an unscientific, back and forth here, but I'm gonna say that I feel like most of the notches were in favor of air cooling. What do you think? I guess I am starting to see it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm starting to see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I have no problem with air cool. I use plenty of air cooling.
I like it, but the thing
But
is,
the thing that sold me was the very first time that Gordon brought in an AIO that had the little screen on the top, and I remember I was like, Gordon, that's so stupid. I would never use that. And then I used it, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool.
it is cool. Some of them are really cool. In fact, here's one of the trends that I'm seeing at Computex this year already, is a lot of the liquid cools with the screens will allow you to expand your desktop directly to the screen of the cooler.
Yeah, MSI had one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fantex has got one
That
as
is real
well.
nice.
I'm sure Leon Lee will have something like that too.
Yeah,
I think
that
that's
is
cool.
That is cool.
Because you can do like really interesting stuff and not put any load on your graphics card.
Oh yeah, no, that is good. That is good. All right, well, let us know what you prefer. Spoilers. I bet most of you are going to say air, but tell us why.
I think most of our audience will say liquid.
Your audience.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Gear Seekers audience, hopefully come over and tell him why he's wrong. So.
They do anyway.
Oh, okay. They're going to do that anyway. Anyway, Gear Seekers. That's GearSeekers.
Yep.
One word.
Yep.
2 words. One word. 2 words.
One word or 2 word.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just put it in the search. You probably know who we are already. It's fine.
Yeah.
And if you
But
don't,
if you don't,
then
unsubscribe from PCWorld
Yeah.
and subscribe over on Gear Seekers.
Yeah.
That's how it works. You got to take one and give it away.
we do stuff with computers sometimes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe once or
Actually,
twice.
I do appreciate the stuff you do
Thank
over there.
you.
So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. Hit the subscribe button.
PCWorld.
Smash that bell so hard that the bell cracks like the Liberty Bell. That's what I'm trying to do. They need that animation in YouTube. YouTube, make it happen.
And also make sure you thank Willis for being the best camera operator
Willis is the
on
best.
Earth.
Willis is the best.
He's the best.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna get out of here. See you guys later.